Greetings to all. I'm architect Devin Deshpande from Institute of Design Education and Architectural Studies. Welcome you to the Unit 2 for the working drawing, that is plans and layouts. So these are the contents for the second unit of the working drawing. The very first TLO is to draw a building envelope using diagonals and coordinate methods. So this part of the TLO basically takes care of the structural system of the proposed building. To this point, we should have the clarity regarding how the layout of the internal spaces is going to be, the locations of walls and openings with respect to furniture. So that has to be first worked out, and only upon that we can then place the structural system and work out these details as specified in TLO 2.1 and 2.2. So prior to that, we are going to work out upon the detailed floor plans, the locations of important building elements like walls, columns, doors and windows, projections, weathering projections, and claddings as well. And later then we will take care of the centerline plan, foundation details, plinth level details, and so on. TLO regarding the 2.4, which is locate existing structural elements on site and propose changes in any of them as per design approved by the client. And this TLO relates to changes which are required or asked by the client to be made. So that is basically doing some sort of a reorganization of certain non-structural elements that calls for breaking down the existing walls or making openings into the wall, changing the location of doors and windows, breaking the overhangs, making new ones, or extending the structure in order to facilitate better flow of activities or circulation within the build form. So this requires a lot of experience into the construction management on site. So as per my opinion, that we cannot do this at this level unless and until you learn the very basics of how to design and draft the buildings. So we'll skip this part of the syllabus. And the very last TLO, that is 2.5, talks about preparing interior design layouts, plans of the project with proper indication and annotations regarding the interior furniture layout, false ceiling layout, and electrical layout. So that we are going to take care of. So this is a set of drawings issued by an architect on site in order to undertake the construction on site. This was the very first TLO of this unit. TLO 2.1, draw building envelope using diagonals and coordinated method, which talks about location of your vertical structural elements as columns, location of foundation with respect to the plot boundary, what are the side margins left and space left in order to manage machinery and raw material on site. We will discuss this drawing later on. Prior to that, we'll take care of the third TLO first. That is 2.3, floor plan drawings with important building elements like walls, columns, doors, windows, projections, weathering protections, and cladding. So as you can see that this is a drawing of a ground floor of a building showing basic locations of walls, opening within the walls, and certain building elements which are below the sectional plane. This also shows the location of the vertical means of circulation, that is staircase, and some of the spaces which are related to building services like toilets. So in this plan, we have also shown the plot boundary. Referring to this scale, it is possible to show the plot boundary and the compound wall as well, but not preferred with a large scale project. So here you could see that this is the entrance to the residence. From there, we move on to the veranda, then to the lobby. Then we have a small puja room. And then moving towards the drawing room, there is a step up. So you climb from the lobby to the drawing room. Continue through this door. We have our kitchen. So this is the kitchen platform, L-shaped kitchen platform, having two windows looking outside towards the garden area. Then here we have the dining space and a small opening and a lawn attached to that family room. At the back, we have a common toilet, which is close to kids' bedroom, and a master bedroom with an attached bathroom. So with this basic layout, we could see that this plans shows the location of vertical structural elements like columns, along with the vertical partition walls. Some of them are external and some of them are internal walls. And these walls have these openings in terms of windows mentioned by the annotation W. Here you could see that this is W, this is W4, having different width. These plans have dimensions associated to them, representing the thickness of the envelope, the length of the opening, and the intermediate brickwork. This also showcases some of the internal openings within two spaces like kitchen and drawing. Here you could see that there is W2 just nearby the column, which allows the user to communicate from the kitchen to drawing hall. Here you could clearly see that the exterior envelope has a brickwork of 230 mm, whereas the interior brickwork is of 115. It is a standard practice to share a schedule of opening along with the plan, where we could see that this column specifies the kind of opening like doors, windows, and ventilators, denoted by the annotation DA, D1, T2, and so on. How many numbers of these specific openings are there within the plan or the floor, the size in mm, the length, and the height. So here is an example of a working drawing showing the detailed brickwork plan. And this is the checklist that is available on LMS to go through and verify the correctness of the drawing. So as we could see, this checklist consists of certain general elements on the sheet, which talks about the column into which these details are to be put. So it has to have title of the sheet, project title, name of the student, name of the mentor, year, name of the subject, scale, date, revision number, the cardinal direction to refer along with the plan, name of the institute, logo of the institute, general instructions to the contractor and consultants. So apart from that, then we have specific instructions for brick layout. So here you could see that the very first set of instructions belong to the kind of brickwork that one must do. So starting with the layout of external brickwork showing thickness. So in this drawing, you could see that this particular dimension represents the thickness of the external walls. So these are 230 mm or 1 brick thick walls. The second is the layout of the internal brickwork. So these dimensions show the thickness of the internal brickwork, the partitioning walls. After that, we have any other partition made out of some different materials. Then we have column number. This particular drawing doesn't shows the column number or a column type, but we can also represent column number or column type in case if it is a commercial building and has a lot of columns to refer. Then we have center line of beam with annotations. So here you could see that this number 1 is a center line which is passing through these series of columns. So these are to be shown. Then we have opening type annotation. Here you could see that this is a D2 type door. This is a W7 type of window, and this is a W1 type of a window having different sill level. After that, we have opening direction. So if the door leaf is not sliding and opening into a particular space, we need to show the direction into which the leaf is going to open. Opening location with respect to nearby column. So for example, this W1 is 0.538 meters apart from this column. So specific location of opening has to be shown and mentioned with dimensions associated with the concrete elements nearby. Then we have plaster line. This particular drawing doesn't represent the plaster line, but you may add a line with a lower line width besides the brickwork line in order to show the specification associated with external and internal plasters. Similarly, we have lines representing dado work or cladding. Here, at this particular location, as you could see, the brickwork has a stone masonry attached to it externally. So such kind of a detailing has to be shown. Then we have overhang in dashed lines with dimension. So here you could see that this line represents an RCC chhajja above the sectional plane. So there are several such lines. For example, here you could see that this is the balcony above line covering the parking shed below. So by dashed lines, you can represent certain elements which are above the sectional plane. Lofts, if any, with level to TOC. So here is another example of a plan representing various slabs at lintel level. So here you could see that above these openings, W representing the windows and the door, you have a cantilever slab attached to these columns and lintel beams projecting outside in order to protect the openings from the rain. So in such case, you can even show these lines with dotted. This is a separate drawing made for constructing specific elements, overhangs, lofts at lintel level. Standard hatching patterns representing various materials. Like for example, this hatched line at an angle is representing brickwork, whereas dash dot line is representing stone. You can add on to several such hatching patterns in order to specify the materials for the building. Now, moving towards the space. For the space, we have space titles. Then we have space dimension in millimeters, finished floor levels, fixed furniture, kitchen, toilet, and any other. For example, here you could see that the kitchen space have its title, dimension in meter. If required, you can also go with the millimeter. And then fixed furniture like kitchen top has been shown over here. Even in toilets, you can go for fixtures which are there on particular walls. Now moving towards the staircase. Here we have to check the direction of the staircase represented by an arrow with text up or down. Then we have representative flights in solid line elevations with continuation marker. So either you could use such kind of an arrow to show the number of step and direction along with the number of steps, and beyond certain number of steps, typically after the mid landing, you can draw a line in continuation. For example, over here you could see that with the winders, these solid lines have been converted into dashed lines representing the space below the sectional line as free space, and dashed lines with element above the sectional plane. So you can also add details like handrail. So here you could see that the location of handrail, how it is getting turned. You could also show hidden lines for risers if in case you have additional nosing coming in. Trade riser dimensions. So you need to specify the width of the trade and the height of the riser nearby the staircase drawing. Number of risers. So either you could write down the number of riser at the very first, intermediate, and at the end of the staircase, or else as shown in this particular drawing, you can number all of them. If at all there is no space, I mean the scale of the drawing is too less, then you can skip numbering all of them. Okay. After that, you need to also specify the width of the mid landing. How much is the width? So in this case, that width has to be from this particular location, that is 630, has to be shown. Then opening or window on mid landing, if any. So in this case, there is no opening. Over here, there is also no opening, but in section, you could see that this is the elevation. Now that particular plan has been cut just above the sill level. But in section, you can very well see that there is an opening into the staircase. That can be verified from the section and elevation. So you need to constantly keep in coordination with the section and elevation. Now moving towards the next section, that is showing the section lines. As I said that you need to constantly coordinate the plans along with the section and elevation. In the plan, you need to show the section lines. Now these green lines are representing the sectional plane and the direction into which the section has to be interpreted. So this is a section BB dash going through the living room and through the bedroom, okay, looking towards the kitchen. Another is the section C, which is getting cut from the parking through the bedroom, toilet, and the backyard, looking towards the inner wall of the bedroom. In certain cases, you can even change the axis of the sectional plane, which might require certain details at certain other locations. So a section line in the plane going through first toilet and second staircase is mandatory in order to clarify the heights and the sunks that you require for toilets. So for example, this is the section AA dash cut from the staircase, which clarifies the number of steps and the layout of the staircase, the finish of the staircase, the springing and the landing points of the staircase, the kind of opening that you have designed within the staircase at mid landing level, and so on. Next is the direction of the direction of the section. So just mentioning the section line is not enough. You need to also show the direction into which one has to read or coordinate the section with the plan. Also, the nomenclature is required. Just showing the line and the arrow is also not the case. You need to also put up the nomenclature for the sectional line. Then, so that's it for the plan. At terrace level also, so this is the terrace level plan. At terrace level, you need to show parapet walls and columns, if at all they are extending beyond the slab, facilitating further construction. You need to show that kinds of surface finishes that probably could come over there. Then location of water tank with construction details. So for example, here you could see that this drawing represents a water tank at the very end of the building. This plan also shows the probable slope towards which we have the rainwater pipes to drain out the rainwater. Apart from that, plans require or represent different levels. So for example, here you could see that the PCC bed level top at parking level is the benchmark level over here. That is shown by plus minus 0.00. So that is the benchmark from where the other levels will be calculated. So here you could see the porch or the entrance porch is plus 0.03. That is around a feet above the benchmark level. So after that, you step up by a single step over here. So this is the threshold. So here you could see that the level has increased by 150 mm. That is plus 0.45. So this floor level is now getting throughout the floor. Over here, you are stepping down again into the marginal space towards the wash area. So again, we have to put up a level. So this is the annotation for the level. You have to write down what space it is or what the title of the level is with respect to the benchmark and the level itself. So though we are getting down, it is not going to get into minus, right? It will be always in a positive, or in certain case, it can go also negative. If you are going downhill, it can also get into negative values. But if this is plus minus 0.00, this is around a feet above, as similar to what you have in the front yard. Okay. After that, let us talk about the dimensioning system. Usually we do the dimensioning in 3 layers. So this is the very first layer of the dimension, which represents wall thicknesses and the clear room widths. The second layer talks about the end-to-end lengths of the structure. If at all, for example, over here, you could see that this mass is protruding out of this reference surface. This is in front, this is at the back. So the building is turning its shape, right? So this dimension represents the all-in-all dimension from this surface to this. So the second layer talks about the peripheral or the external dimensions. And finally, the last layer usually gives the concludatory dimension, final end-to-end. Like for example, and that dimension also usually shows the marginal spaces that we have left after the external surface of the wall. So the very first dimension gives you idea of the thicknesses of the wall. The second dimension gives you idea of the total dimensions of the spaces. And the third dimension lines give you the idea of the total building lengths. So this sample drawing is available on LMS. Also, this checklist is also available on LMS. The very first sheet is to draw these detailed plans. So here we will conclude the session. This reference drawing is available on LMS, as well as this checklist is also available on LMS. Go through both of them and prepare the very first sheet of detailed brickwork plan. Thank you.